I literally thought it was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I'm Jared, and I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
This is the movie that should have liked Our Darkest Hour, but it got screwed by marketing.
So you're telling me this movie had the touch and the power?
Yep, and it should have it should have stood while the other should have fallen.
Okay, we're talking about Transformers 1, and it's probably my favorite Transformers movie of all time, bar none. Like, bar none.
It is a strong. Okay, I judge the movies all differently because they're all different. But if I had to go overall, then yes. But yeah.
As opposed to the one that traumatized kids back in the 80s, this is kind of more of what we should have gotten.
True. And it's a case of it's showing why people love just having, well, it's not just robot smash, it's character.
First, I'm going to bring up this. This is something that I need to bring up first before we go into everything. I love how much this borrows from Transformers Prime, like the music. Yep. I'm like, oh, wow. Well, because the director is this, I think the composer's the same guy that
I think so he knows what to do.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah. So this movie basically tells the origin of the Autobot Decepticon
version, yes.
A version of it. But I think that this was kind of what they were going for in their Align thing, where they were like, this is the definitive origin.
To a point, but now that's one thing I always give Hasbro. They will allow with multiple different origins.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So now, here's the thing. Let's talk about the voice cast first. The voice cast, at first, I was like, what?
Yeah,
but as the movie carries on, you see why they were cast.
Exactly. I mean, Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry were like, I'm not getting it. Like Chris is Orion, I'm sorry. It takes a bit to grow on you.
Well, here's the thing. Once D16, I'm just gonna call him Megatron, goes, I'm done saving you. I'm like,
I'm done saving you.
That's Megatron right there.
That's when he stopped going from this geek to I am done saving your ass.
Follow me into the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when Chris became Optimus, he was channeling Peter Cullen right there.
Tell, particularly at the end where he goes, I am Optimus Prime. That's very Peter Cullen. That's
ScarJo is only one, take or leave it.
Yeah, and I liked and
Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. It's Bumblebee.
I love the Aatron reference. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. The other fun thing about this movie is that if you're paying attention, you could see famous Transformers like RC, Prowl, Ratchet. You could see all of the ones you would know if you're a G1 fan slightly changed because, and Robert brought this up before he went live. It's an issue, not necessarily with this movie in general, but it's like the issue with like, the way Transformers were handled overall is that since that third movie, Sentinel Prime is now the main bad guy, and I go,
or before that one, it's like he's the one who starts everything, or he's like the great evil that and everything. It's just like, why?
He's the great betrayer, and I go, okay, that works for like a movie or so, but that shouldn't be the default thing.
Yep.
But I'm just.
But this one, he's even worse than he was in Dark of the Moon.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so this movie, so
at least say what you will. At least in Dark of the Moon, he still cared. He was just willing to do whatever it took that was necessary.
Yeah. So in this, I was also surprised when I first saw this movie in theaters how deep into Cybertronian lore that this goes into. Like, oh my god! Everything. Like they brought in literally everything. Like Cameron says, I'm a Prime Normie fan, but I still noticed the cameos. It was fun. Yeah, exactly. I've been a Transformers fan since the early Transformers Armada days. So there was that. And I've caught them on and off. I haven't been like religiously watching everything. But what I will say is like the more you watch this, it just gets like crazy how deep this went.
Wait, what did you say? I missed it.
So Cameron says he's a Prime / Normie fan, but he knows the cameos. And I said, yeah, I'm more. I got into Transformers in the 2006 Transformers Armada era.
Hi, dude. I was there from the beginning.
Of course you were.
Okay. be fair, I was bored when it started, but I still bought the toys. I caught up on everything. To be fair, my first series was Beast Wars, but still.
Beast Wars!
Beast Wars! But, yes. I'm sorry, for me, I adore, for one, as much as I like Frank Welker's Megatron, nothing will stop David K's Beast Wars Megatron.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly. So this movie is basically like, so all other Transformers, except the ones attached to Sentinel Prime, have had their transformation cogs removed. So in other words, the way they transform.
That's true. I mean, that has always been a part that have existed in Transformers. Okay, most of this is wholesale, not taken from anything. This is wholesale redoing.
Yeah, exactly. So Robert does the best voice. It says, "Sally girl."
Well, you should hear my Air Commander Star scream.
That's good. That's good. I love that. But so this movie starts off. So it's been since like it's been an established part of lore that for like a while.
Here's how it's always worked. There's been two origins: either Primus created the Autobots, or the Transformers, or the Cybertronians, or the Quintessons. Mm-hmm. And they always rotate between those. This one, they pretty much keep Primus as the creator, but the Quintessons as the ones who at least came to war with them, an invading race and everything. They're still involved.
Which that was cool. But anyway, so
it's so funny when you look at the first movie, you're like, wait, the guy think guilty and innocent was the person who created the Autobots in the original cartoon? I don't buy it.
Yeah, exactly. So this movie kind of continues a piece of relatively recent established lore that Optimus and Megatron were friends before like the war.
This is the tightest they've been.
Yeah, this is like the tightest, and I think they did that to show how tragic the falling out eventually leads to. And they did, and it works so well, particularly at the end when Megatron leads and they flash back to the first meeting.
Yeah, no, they drop. There's one thing they do drop with Megatron. He's not a gladiator.
Which I kind of see. Here's the thing. I like the gladiator part, but I kind of like this because this one kind of establishes more onto why he would hate anyone labeled Prime.
Oh no, it does. It definitely does. It definitely does.
That's why I kind of like this version the most of the Megatron origins. Plus, it makes it more like it makes Megatron more of a badass that he's not a gladiator. He's like a miner that eventually.
I think the other thing is that it does make him a little bit on the like he's not a strategic mastermind. He'll get there obviously, but unlike him being the gladiator where he already had that at the start. But I guess again, it adds more to the tragedy of seeing this guy who was a wide-eyed idealist on par with Orion. But the fact you both have him and Orion see the horrors of finding out. Might I just say what Sentinel Prime had been?
Yeah.
They ripped out every time a Autobot or a Cybertron was created. They would rip out their transformation cog because they don't need it to have it. They want to keep them underfoot because Sentinel Prime is just that evil of a. Can I say the B word?
No. So
no, okay, you know what I mean. No.
Yeah.
But we see both. They both see it, but they both react very differently.
Yeah.
Orion yeah.
So the setup of this is that the Primes have gone messing. The former leaders of all the Transformers have gone messing, along with the Matrix of leadership. You need the Matrix because it makes the energon flow, essentially their energy source. So that's why there's a lot of miners that are like basically used as like a slave labor force.
Unfortunately, it's been implied that all but one are dead.
Yeah, exactly. All but one are dead. So Optimus is trying. I'm just going to call him Optimus. Screw it. Optimus is trying to find the Matrix because he can restart the energon things. And I like saying Optimus. He's kind of a screw up in this movie that later grows into that.
Some versions he is. Most versions he is.
Which I love that because like it's like when Hot Rod became Rodimus, it's like the character you wouldn't expect becomes like the leader.
But when you really, it could have worked even with Ultra Magnus saying, I'm just a soldier. I'm not worthy. But Hot Rod was closer to Orion because Orion worked in the library.
Yeah, exactly. That's what people don't realize. But
You were the librarian. You were the bookworm.
The reason why the Decepticons were kicking the Autobots' ass, one of the reasons, is because when you look at like what jobs the two had, the Decepticons were all the warriors, and the Autobots
military,
were like
yes,
the regular Joes. Of course, the Decepticons would be better.
Exactly. Oh, that's in some versions, oddly. Others, it's a little different.
Others, it's a little different, but
here though. But again, I like how they have them be on the same, the same even keel here for one.
Yeah, exactly. And
you also have Alita 1 and Bumblebee. I'm just gonna say Bumblebee.
Yeah. That's who it is. That's who it is. And isn't Alita 1 the one that Optimus later dates?
For the most versions, yes. That and it was animated where she was Black Arachnia.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that. And
yep.
So essentially, Prime is trying to constantly prove that minors are like just as much Transformers as the ones that catch transformed, to the point where he basically cons Megatron into joining the like Grand Prix, and they almost win, but then Prime, being the Prime Prix will turn into, saves Megatron from being run over, and then they get reassigned by Sentinel to garbage management.
Yep.
What they discover is that one of Bumblebee's friends, Tron, which is a so for those that don't know what it is, it's a reference to a Key and Peele skit where Key plays he plays an inner city teacher that mispronounces everyone's names.
Yep.
That's essentially what that is. So you discover that there was a message by Alpha Trion, one of the primes, that basically says, hey, we're right here. We need backup. So Optimus, Megatron, and Bumblebee, and then later Alita travel to the surface, find Alpha Trion, then he reveals the truth that Sentinel was a bad guy.
Yep.
He was working with the
like, this is evil, even for Sentinel. It's like, he's a dick, but he's not that big of a dick. Like, yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. And you see, like the Quintessons design, they're very bug-like, which I really
I dug that too. And we get about the war and everything, and then they give some of the fallen primes their or was the primes or just regular Autobots? They're
primes. Now, here's the thing I like about this movie as well. They don't automatically know how to transform.
That was in the trailer. That was shown in the trailer.
I like that because too many times in like the old things, they install the cog, they automatically know what to do.
Yep. Although, just to be clear, the whole why does Optimus still have a truck form? That's a Cybertronian vehicle. They established that in the War for Cybertron game. Even there, he still has it's more of a case of he took a truck on Earth because it was closest to his normal transform state.
Yeah, because the way it works in the normal thing is that the ship crashes and the robot, like the drone, flies around and probably scans forms that are approximating what each of the robots are supposed to turn into.
Yep, and in this case, it's taking a form that's similar enough to his Cybertronian transformation form. Of course, in the original cartoon, it was implied they never transformed over on Cybertron. No, they did. No, they did.
Now, I will say this in the Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers comics, I like how they explain how Megatron goes from turning into a tank into a gun, and when he's a gun, he can mind control people and make them shoot stuff.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
That's so good. And they play off of the Gladiator stuff. But anyway, so Megatron turns into a tank in this, but what you see is something snaps in Megatron.
Oh, yeah.
You slowly start to see his descent and you go, oh, it started. And then this is where the voice actor from Megatron shines because you can see he starts getting more and more aggressive.
Exactly. Now, eventually they meet up what was once the High Guard, the Cybertronian High Guard, which are Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. A lot of waves.
A lot of waves. I love that. They're like, he wouldn't stop talking even when he was unconscious, especially when he was unconscious.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, though, I'm not a fan of Shockwave being reduced down to more of a joke. It's not as bad as he was in Transformers Dark of the Moon, but I prefer, I'm used to Steve Bloom or Corey Burton, having him be like he's almost one of the biggest threats.
My favorite Shockwave was Energon Shockwave. That was
good.
That was good.
And nothing against Steve Buscemi as Starscream. It wasn't given much to work with here.
Yeah, I will say I like how they also explain how Starscream gets his like raspy voice when Megatron just crushes him, which he does that to be in the regular timelines, and that explains why he can't talk, which I gotta say, that got annoying real fast when they kept...
When they gave it to him and then they said it, no, people liked him when it was just the constant, using his audio.
Yeah, and by the way, he wouldn't stop talking when he was unconscious. I love that.
Especially when he was unconscious!
I love that scene! That is so good. Now, here's the part about this. Here's where this movie really shines, and this is where the marketing screwed it over.
Yep.
The marketing makes it like it's a comedy, like Pixar movie. It's not.
No,
it may start off like one, but it slowly turns into a legit war film.
From the moment they find out the Trion, it gets dark in a hurry.
Oh, and it doesn't stop. So, and then I like how as Megatron becomes more aggressive, his body starts to transform. Like now he gets his iconic arm,
the helmet,
and the helmet, and then the Sentinel Prime's forces attack, and then capture most of the High Guard, including Starscream and Megatron and Bumblebee.
And then Alpha Trion is brought before Sentinel Prime and executed.
And I will like this. I like Alita basically telling Optimus, you have this optimistic quality over you. I'm like, okay, that's explaining the optimist part. I like that. That's really cool.
And the fact that they have her be a little more bloodthirsty, like she's leaning a little closer to Megatron, but doesn't go all the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you that. So, but Cameron says, after watching this, I'm now agreeing with Megatron. Oh, God, it's first class all over again.
Well, to be fair, that they've been doing that for quite a bit, but here especially...
Here you can understand why Megatron fell the way he did.
Oh, yeah. Here it's like it's a case where, I'm sorry, it's hard not to cheer for him, but you also realize he's going to become worse than Sentinel. You know it.
Because here's the thing. In Transformers Prime, when they explain what happened to Megatron, they made it seem like he was just upset that he got passed over for a promotion. In this, it's like, no. This is vastly different. And I prefer this.
I'm still annoyed that Primus chose Optimus.
Yeah, exactly. He's still annoyed, but this is more
at a secondary.
But here's the thing: at that point, he was too far gone. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see that.
Right, wait till I get to talk about my take on things when we get to it. We'll do that. But yeah, then we get to the coup.
Yeah, so I like where we also get the first time Orion Pax's transform and roll out. I love that. At this point, I'm starting to buy Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime.
Yeah, but then you're starting to say again. Same with Megatron again.
Exactly.
Brian Henry.
Yeah, you are right. At this point, once they discover that like Sentinel's bad, that's when they start turning into their characters.
Hey, to be fair, this is the same guy who voiced Jefferson, Miles' dad in the Spider-Verse movie. So
wow. So
yeah.
So I like this. So Megatron has a decal of his favorite Prime Megatronus. This will get ironic later. That Sentinel eventually goes, let's make sure it can't come off. So he literally laser tattoos it on his chest.
Yep.
I go, oh God.
But I do like Megatronus was always the Decepticon logo. Always.
Yeah, I love that. So Optimus goes and rallies the miners and basically says you don't have to have a cog in order to be someone important and stuff. So I dig that. So it's essentially all the Autobots. So the battle starts and it is awesome.
It is.
So their plan is they're gonna take the Arachnid character because she like records everything. So they're like, let's plug it in because then we can play. So eventually they play a recording of Sentinel admitting that he plugged
because she was the second command. So because she was the second command.
Yeah, it admits everything, and then this turns the robots against Sentinel.
Which for Orion he feels like okay, that's enough. We've won. But not enough. Not enough.
Megatron goes and is going to kill him. He says he deserves to die for what he did. And then
it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue.
But but Optimus makes a good point. He goes, if things are to change, we can't start that change with an execution.
Exactly. Again.
But again, you understand why Megatron got to that point. That's the cool part.
And it's the tragedy of it.
And then Megatron goes to blast Sentinel, but Optimus jumps in the way and gets blasted. And this is where I think this is where they change on, because Megatron was so blinded by hatred for Primes that when he saw Optimus take the shot for him, he goes, I'm done. I love where he looks down.
He's like looking down, and then he's like,
and then the red eyes come up, and I go,
I'm done saving you. And again, right before he's like, no, why? Again, that was the last vintage of Dork D before it just gone.
And then I like gone. The next few scenes are perfectly paralleled. How like Optimus is falling and Megatron is tearing Sentinel in half, literally. I freaking love this. And then Optimus arrives at the core of Primus, and we see like the Force Ghost of the Primes. Here is where this is so ironic. So Megatron takes Megatronus' transformation cog that was appropriated by Sentinel, puts it in his own chest, and declares himself Megatron. Megatronus is one of the Primes that bestows the Matrix onto Optimus.
In other words, here he wasn't a scumbag traitor of the Prime. He was a legit Prime.
He was a legit Prime. That is like one of the levels that when you really realize that, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, but I was showing that everything Megatron believed in wasn't true.
Well, it may have been true, but he's perverting the idea.
Yes.
And I like how Megatron goes, I am Megatron, and then Optimus is crowned as Optimus Prime. I love how this is done, and they're playing the Transformers Prime song. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then he takes off like Superman.
Yep, and then that's when Chris finally
that's where he really goes. I love where he lands and he's like,
yep, a very superhero pose.
Yeah, that's the superhero pose. And then they're all like, what? And then he goes, Primus gave you the Matrix. And then
he's just like, of course he did.
By the way, I love how it's been established in Transformers lore now that the mask, the face shield can like come off and come on. I love that. And then we get the fight. And my friend Lad pointed out to something really cool. Oh, Sugar Honey Iced Tea. That's good.
Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
That's what Brit uses as a alternative to the S word. I love that. But anyway, one of the things I love about this, and Lad pointed this out, when they're battling in this movie, some of their parts turn into the vehicle mode parts, like the wheels pop out, but they're still in robot form.
Yep, I saw that.
Cool how they can do that.
Yep, and then of course, I'll build everything and build it myself after I tear down everyone in my way.
And then we get Optimus Prime's axe.
They treat it like a special. It is so funny. The axe and the mace were only in one episode, and yet fans never let it die.
No, and then this is different because he could shoot the axe like it's a gun. I love this. And then Optimus 1v3s. Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave all at once. It is the coolest thing ever. And then he cuts Megatron's gun in half and then just falls and he goes, you betrayed.
Oh, yeah, I see it right now. I just saw a bit of it. Yeah, while he's laying on his back, he turns the wheel so he can skid away.
I love that. That is so cool. And then he goes, you betrayed everything and me. And if you look at Megatron's face at this point, and it's confirmed by the director, he's actually crying.
Yep, I believe it.
And you get that shot of them standing face to face, and then it's like, this isn't over, Prime.
Yeah, this isn't over, Prime.
And then he takes off, and then we get Alita being, and then we get the final flashback, which hits it hard where it is that they used to be friends. We see their first meeting, and then it's like he's going away. I love where he goes, Bumblebee, I can't allow you to go back to Waste Management. You're gonna have to work for me. And then Bumblebee goes, this is great. I'm gonna work for the government.
I
love that. That is such a.
That's a political jab. That's hilarious because that's universal.
That's universal. Everyone hates politicians. And then Optimus makes the Energon flow, and then the cogs come up, and then we're seeing like Sideswipe, RC, Ironhide, everyone's forming.
Yep, cop, hold it.
This is the last part. The last part that really gets it. All are truly Autobots. He transforms, and everyone's like running in slow motion.
Yep.
This is where he starts to sound like Peter Cullen, where he goes, I am Optimus Prime.
Yep.
And then
he nailed it.
And then the post-credit scene of Megatron forming the Decepticons. They're all firing in the air like they're Taliban.
Yep.
So all in all, fantastic Transformers movie. Like this is the new definitive Transformers movie.
Agreed. This is a great origin.
And again, it sucks that the marketing screwed it so bad.
And now they're bringing Bay back.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: Bay needs good scripts.
He needs good because the script for the first one was great.
For them overall, yes.
I think of the three, of the five, the first one is the best one.
Oh yeah, hands down.
First and three are my favorites.
Three definitely. Yeah, two. Much like Quantum of Solace for Bond was the writer strike.
Yeah, that's why I don't necessarily hold it against.
Or Star Trek Into Darkness as well.
Once you get past three. Okay. Okay. Now, serious question: what would all be for two, or let this just?
I would be for a second one, obviously, but if it was a standalone,
here's the interesting thing: they could do a comic continuation.
They could.
Now, here's the thing: if this ends up being a standalone movie, here's the advantage of it. Because of the way that this is like done, you could just have this be like the prequel to G1, and then just watch G1 from this, because it doesn't contradict it that much.
It does to a point. Like Alpha Trion isn't dead.
Well, yeah, but
General Prime wasn't evil in G1.
That's true. It's like, I mean, kind of, but. I mean, the thing is like, if it has to be standalone, fine, it works as a standalone.
I would say it's just another origin that can now be added into the pool for whatever the next origin is going to be. Because
here's the thing, we know the broad strokes of what happens after this movie, so it's not like it's like. We know
they go to war and then they come to Earth.
Yeah, and by the way, Don J says, "Hey dudes, I know."
Oh yeah,
they do.
Oh, they do. Where have you been?
Well, they're doing it also now. So
I'm joking.
Yeah, it's okay. That's been a thing for like. It was just the G1 cartoon, I think, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They had Cobra Commander show up.
Well, he wasn't Cobra Commander per se.
He would turn into Cobra Commander because here's the thing: it's played by the same voice actor, and then he's Cobra at the end.
A Cobra!
Yeah, he does that at the end. Now, let me ask you this: who is your favorite character in this movie?
Megatron.
Yeah.
Mine
is the tie between him and Orion, because I like.
Oh yeah. For the most
I like how they go through the same path but diverge very extremely.
That's what I said earlier. Once they both were equally idealistic. They had the exact same starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they found the truth, it split.
And here's the thing: I think Optimus's point is that, yeah, I could let you kill him, but then that sets a precedent that we're never going to be able to
killed off then. In fact, one day I could see that he was doing it for Megatron's own good.
Yeah, he was like, eventually you'll not stop. He's basically taking the Batman approach to it. Like, you're never going to stop.
Well, not just that, but also if you said that means someone just has to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, enough killing. Let's make this good. Now, Robert, I understand that you have like is it more of a follow-up to this?
No, it's my own take.
Okay, go ahead.
I've had this for a long while.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, the way I started off, Cybertron, it seems like it's a paradise on when you look at from the surface. When you actually look at the nitty-gritty, it's a bad classist system. Not as bad as this. Not as bad as this. But it's a case where the Autobots and the Decepticons are like, basically it's the whole idea of, you have a city where the lower you are, the lower class you are.
Yeah.
And all that. It's one of those type of things.
Okay.
And here, Megatron, I still keep all Megatron's a gladiator, and Orion works in the library, a librarian. But the two are decent friends, not tight friends like here, but good friends. And eventually, the way I treat it here is that being a prime, it's a great honor, but it's something you can actually be brought into. So I'm going with the whole Megatron being passed over, but I play it differently. Here, he actually was given an option to actually propose himself for being a prime. And, he worked hard to get to this. Mm-hmm. And his offer was simply like, what would you do if you were a prime? And he would say, my offer would be we must start over. We must start from scratch. The system we have is not working. We must tear it all down. Anyone that steals stand in our way, all that. And of course, they're like, eee. But then Orion just trying to talk sense into his friend because he didn't know his friend or Megatron was going. He was Megatronus during this. He did not know he was going to go that far. He's trying to then talk to him. The others listen to Orion, and they decide to give it to Orion. To which, of course, he's like, "This was not my. No, of course it wasn't your plan." And he storms off. But here's the thing: he does not form the Decepticons. He joins them. But there are two leaders who will exist before him. In fact, in my take, Megatron doesn't become the leader until near the end. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Also, Orion, he keeps refusing becoming a prime. He just feels like, I'm not worthy of it. I don't want it. And then the war starts. And it's a pretty vicious war. It'll go on for a while. The first enemy will actually get taken out, the first leader. But then there'll be a secondary leader, one who's more bureaucratic. And eventually, here's the big irony. As it gets towards the end of the war, they actually offer the bureaucratic leader of this, I make up a name for him, a chance to actually talk things over and negotiate. They won! They were going to get what they wanted. But Megatron, thinking it's going to be through peace talks, he's just going to cower and cowtail and just surrender.
Yeah, it's so like he wants to actually conquer and win.
Exactly. He feels there's no negotiation. They will not cave into us. They're just good. This coward is going to surrender. So he decides through visions he's been getting, he wants the Dark Energon. Taking from the War for Cybertron, he goes to a satellite, which is run by Autobot Air Commander Starscream, who feels this is beneath him. He has been sent to this nowhere station. No one's going to come here and everything. He feels like, this is beneath me. I deserve great grandeur assignments. But then and of course, Megatron shows up. Starscream thinks we can handle him. The moment Megatron reveals, nope, what the hell was that? And it's like, okay, here, you have it. Of course, I forget, who's that one flyer who usually becomes an Autobot?
Jetfire.
He leaves, a traitor leaves, but because no one knows Starscream is a traitor yet, Megatron sends Starscream to gather the Decepticon leader, intercept him, and bring him to him where he executes him, thus keeping the war still going. And eventually, but then here's the big thing, kicker. The dreams he was giving were sent to him by Unicron. To spread the Dark Energon. But eventually he thinks, I must spread it, because he thinks Dark Energon will improve Primus. So it leads to a fight in the core. But when that happens, Primus connects to Megatron and the others. This is where Optimus becomes Orion becomes Optimus. But he then reveals to Megatron, you were duped. So Megatron knows it, but because he also wants, he's like, I'm going to go into slumber, stasis, while I purge the Dark Energon. He sends the Decepticons to one of the moons. But then Optimus decides, without Primus active, we must leave. So, but what does Megatron do when he shows up? The way he sees it was like, if he's thinking, if Unicron manipulated me, that means he's coming here. We must fortitude ourselves. We must bunker down and get ready for action, no matter how long it takes. We must make a last stand. But he makes it back to Cybertron and he sees these cowards are retreating, going to colonize other worlds. What do you think goes through? How much do you think he's going to snap?
A lot.
Especially because, again, he was duped. Mm-hmm. But he feels like now I must fix my mistake. What are these cowards doing?
Would you have Unicron, by the way, be Earth?
No.
I always thought that was kind of stupid. I gotta be honest.
That was stupid.
I'm like,
basically, that
why?
eventually leads to the whole fight, the end of War of Fall of Cybertron and everything, where they fight and they head to Earth. But that's where a lot of my idea came from. What do you think of a lot of that?
I like it. It's very epic. I love that. Do you guys think Transformers could go again?
Oh, Death Battle proved that. Gundam doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Gundam does not stand a chance at all. Check out their 99th episode of Death Battle. Optimus versus Mobile Suit Gundam. But yeah, I mean, like I said, because I just really like this idea of, and like I said, I wanted to go with something different. That's why the Megatron didn't take charge until later. But I wanted this to be a constant. Everything keeps getting worse. Like, he doesn't, and the funniest part is, he will never know that he ruined their chance of victory. He's never going to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as he's concerned, I stopped the coward from surrendering. I mean, that is so Megatron, isn't it? That is so Megatron too. Yeah, and like I said, obviously Optimus would constantly be like, I'm not worthy, until he has no choice.
And that's kind of, if you notice, what they did in the games too, because it's like they kept saying, why do you keep saying no to this? And he goes, because I'm not worthy. I'm just a soldier.
Yep, or I'm a librarian or whatever. But
yeah, exactly.
But by the way, have you ever read the IDW Transformers versus G.I. Joe?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's good, but it adds a nice twist on the whole Earth is a transformer.
Where they do?
Hold on, I'll show you it.
You know what I like as a story? The Shattered Glass storyline.
Yep.
Where they switch.
Let me get to it. And Atlas.
Oh, that's cool.
Earth is the third and second brother to Primus, and here that's Primus corrupted by Megatron. Basically, this whole it's Tom Scololi. So basically, the whole what if a kid was actually playing with his toys?
That's cool. I like that.
So instead of Unicron, basically they put Primus in the Unicron position, but again, because he's been corrupted. But look at that. Earth is a robot in disguise.
That's so cool. But what I'd imagine you're like, why we're on a giant robot now?
I know, and they think that you're just like, wait, shouldn't that be disastrous?
Yeah, it kind of would, right?
Yep, but seriously, that was a great one. And get that, they also have a after they did the miniseries. Oh, let me show you this. They decided to do a movie adaptation to a non-existent movie. It can basically get the whole idea of you have the miniseries, then there's this non-existent movie adaptation, and now we're getting a comic adaptation of that movie adaptation. So the whole joke is it's a degraded adaptation to a degraded adaptation that never existed. But take a look. I just linked it.
Okay, let me see.
Basically, they take what the movie and what the original mini was and just condense it into one book with changes here and there that you know would have happened. And include behind-the-scenes stuff, fake behind-the-scenes stuff.
Okay, that's interesting.
So you should check it out, dude. It is really good. There's a collection that collects all 14 issues, but like I said, I'm a diehard Transformers fan.
Oh, me too, dude. Oh, me too. I've been in since like Transformers Armada, and I've caught it on and off. Armada and Prime are my favorite series.
Yep, but I gotta say, when it comes to the Megatron voice, besides David Kaye, I actually prefer Frank Welker's second voice. The one where he talks more like this.
Like, you mean the one he was in like Prime?
In Prime, and the way he was in the Transformers the game, based off of the first movie.
Oh,
I always remember one line during the behind the scenes. Like, the way he described it was, it's like he's always angry, but it's almost like it's painful when you hear it. And it's like one of those voices where the moment when you walk into the room, you're gonna turn a few heads. And I went, you are the only one standing between me and my destiny, Optimus Prime. That's how I usually get warmed up for that voice whenever I do it.
Yeah, I love that. That one definitely worked.
Yeah, man, just talking like this. Like you're either arrogant or you're stupid, Starscream. I'm stupid. Oh, here's the other thing with my Starscream. I actually keep him a little competent. Not overly competent, but enough that when I take Megatron off the board and Starscream's in charge, he actually keeps that an even keel.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't gain anything, but he doesn't lose any ground. Mm-hmm. I am so tired of Starscream being treated like it's a disaster if he'll be in charge. I am so tired of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was like an air commander. He's not like this. Like,
yes, he has an ego. Yes, but
yeah. Oh, I was gonna also ask: is the Allspark an energy source for everything?
No. It's just the Allspark. It's not It's not that powerful. Oh, and here's the other thing. As I mentioned, that Starscream was originally an Autobot. He knew Bumblebee, and Bumblebee feels like, what? Why?
Mm-hmm.
I actually treated the two knew each other. And then Bumblebee didn't look up to him, but he felt he was friends with Starscream. So seeing his friend betray him so utterly, and to the point, but the worst part is that he thought Starscream shared the friendship. He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He just like, I just humored you, boy, because you talked my praise. Hey, but now I don't need you.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine how would you feel if you were Bumblebee hearing that?
Betrayed.
Yeah. Again, I go for all these different takes and all that. Like I do keep I have to be a bit of a love triangle between RC, Hot Rod, and Bumblebee, where Bumblebee has this big crush on RC, and Hot Rod seems to be like, oh yeah, she's my girl bot, and she'd be like, I'm not your girl bot.
Mm-hmm.
And I still keep Cup. Cup is one of my favorite.
He was. I love Cup. He's constantly telling war stories.
Yep. Like, what happened? Hard to remember. There was a lot of casualties that day.
You know what's the other part of Transformers? You know what's the other part of Transformers that I love has been like a consistent thing in the canon is like whenever like the Dinobots knock a door down on someone, they go, "Excuse me."
Excuse me.
I love that. That's so good.
Oh, can I tell you one Autobot I would never use?
Who?
At least his original version. Fine, look behind. Wheelie
Wheelie.
turns the day. I'm sorry.
Annoying.
That is one of the most annoying voices.
Yeah, I know. Can you recast the voice, maybe?
And that was Frank Welker doing that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Nation Starscream, this is bad.
Comedy.
Megatron,
is that you?
He transforms into a cannon and blasts him. But, see, here's the thing. I don't know why people didn't like Rodimus Prime and stuff, because when you look at
you lost Optimus, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing. Like I said at the beginning of this, when you look at his story, because again, the whole point of like Optimus to Orion to Optimus and Hot Rod to Rodimus is the person you don't expect. Because even with Ultra Magnus, he's a military commander.
Yep.
Which it would still work.
It made sense for Optimus to give it to him initially, but he dropped it.
He dropped it, and then if you notice, everything like lit up when Hot Rod.
And if you also notice, when Ultra Magnus put it in, it popped out for a second. He had to put it back in. Now that might have been animation flub, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it like he couldn't put it in properly.
I remember, I wish they kind of got more into Hot Rod being guilty for getting Optimus killed in that movie.
Yeah.
But they could have played a little more into that.
It's better than that Transformers deviation where you could so tell the writer had a hate on. To the point where even the Transformers wiki keep on saying this was clearly just an assassination piece for Hot Rod.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like no one likes that book. It was the whole what if Optimus survived? And it just does nothing but condemn all the season 3 Autobots except for Cup.
Oh wow!
It is a complete what? I got that right here.
But so here's the funny part for that. Barry, the backlash to Optimus dying was so extreme that they literally ADR'd the G.I. Joe movie that was coming out at the same time. Duke's alive! He's waking up out of a coma, even though he was impaled.
Yeah, Duke's alive because, well, you know the ironic thing was? They killed off Optimus because of the G.I. Joe movie. The G.I. Joe movie was delayed.
Mm-hmm.
That is the big irony.
And what it was is like they didn't expect that much backlash because as far as they knew,
it was just toys.
Yeah, but then they didn't expect everyone to have like such an attachment to Optimus Prime, which is why he came back later. The return of Optimus Prime.
Actually, they already had the plan of him coming back as the zombie version well ahead of time. Because I remember there was an interview where they're like, I heard about this one kid who locked himself in his closet because he was so upset Optimus died. We didn't have the heart to tell him we were bringing him back just to kill him again.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what that episode kind of turns into. And I go, are you kidding me?
That's just rubbing it in. But yeah, here's the deviation. In this case, it shows Cup stopping him, Hot Rod. And then, but yeah, then we have Starscream. Like in this case, because there's no Megatron to negotiate, the Decepticons to get tossed out, they just get eaten. Makes sense. But then you have, this is where it's like, they make Ultra Magnus a dick, a big major dick. And, yeah, basically like, Hot Rod, you're with Magnus's crew. Why? To watch Daniel. All right. Starscream makes himself a leader, but then he's the one who then talks to Unicron saying, make me powerful.
What does he do?
Oh, well, he fills in
no, but
Galvatron's role.
Does he
does empower him. He does.
Does he get a cool new name?
Not yet. Not yet. Okay. But then Hot Rod mentioned he had a dream of the proper timeline, which called Magnus saying, "Oh, you're talking about killing Optimus, huh? You're a traitor." It's like, what? And then he's Mega Scream. Mega Scream starts, attacking them. And then Hot Rod decides, like, I gotta do something. No, if you do, you'll make things worse. I'm gonna do it anyway. You make things worse.
Oh, wow.
See what I mean by assassination? Again, Cup is the only one that doesn't get the assassination. Oh, they saved that one guy who survived the planet because they get there before he's killed off. And then it plays out mostly the same way, although it then has Hot Rod still does the separation, but he dies doing it. Okay. So basically, all of the season 3 introduced Autobots, besides Cup, are killed off horribly.
That's kind of mean.
It is. Why do you think even the Transformers Wiki has this constant pot shots at this book?
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yeah,
and it's like these characters weren't all bad.
They weren't, especially not Hot Rod. But again, there's a lot. Even people who hate Hot Rod are like, "Oh, come on, dude."
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no.
It's like, did this guy think he was doing something that people want? It's like that jerk who went up to Rob Liefeld, gave him a book about how to draw the Marvel way, and in his mind, he's expecting when everyone's just like, "Get out of here, you jerk."
Yeah, because it's like not everyone has to draw the same way or behave the same way.
It's a whole nother job. Oh, everyone's bad-mouthing him. We don't see it to his face, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
like no one likes Hot Rod. Yeah, but not like this.
Yeah, and it's like also don't assume that, because like there were some people that like Rob Liefeld's art or Hot Rod. I like Hot Rod. I'm just gonna tell you that.
Exactly, I do too. I mean, he is definitely one of my favorites because when he's done right.
Yeah, it's like even when he's Rodimus Prime, this was a carryover in season 3. He was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to.
Now they did make him a bit clownish, even when he was the leader. He did not handle it well.
Yeah, and then I love where the episode where Prime comes back is when he's like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this right.
Here's what it says. Did you ever want to read an embarrassing 1994 era alt.toys.transformers fanfic in an official comic form? Good news!
That's what it says. An official fanfic. Oh, God.
An embarrassing alt.toys.transformers, meaning, of course, a place that was known for hate-doms and everything.
I wonder, is that like considered canon? Well, no, it's an alternate.
No. This is a fan wiki. No,
I was a.
No. This is a deviation. Yeah, this is a deviation.
Yeah, which I'm glad that like everyone ignores that.
Yeah, even the TV tropes page is constantly like, wow.
Because there, again, it's like even if you don't like Hot Rod, Ultra Magnus is cool, RC is cool.
They don't like any of them because they don't like how they had to kill off other for this writer. He did not like how they had to kill off characters he liked to replace them with
that's true. The other thing, my other problem with that original movie, when Megatron starts blasting Autobots on the shuttle, they go down way too fast. I'm like,
and then Ironhide's like,
such
that smoke coming out from him.
No, that was Prowl. But still, it's like
Prowl. I thought that. Sorry, you're right. But he was still one of those who got shot.
He was one of those that got shot. But then I'm like, what? Come on, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like Wind Charger and Wheeljack, they got killed off screen, and RC's like pulling their bodies.
Yep, I know. And she's like, oh, and you're like, no!
And you're like, no, come on, guys. But that's the only problem I have with that movie too. Yeah, it was because they wanted to move on to a different toy line, and you can tell that.
And they were just.
But again, don't judge the overall characters. It'd be one thing if the characters shat upon the previous characters, but even in the episode with the mausoleum, they treat them with reverence and respect. Even when Optimus comes back to life.
Exactly. And again, was Hot Rod and Rodimus a good leader? Not really, compared to Optimus.
Well, no one's a good leader compared to Optimus. Let's face it.
Exactly. That was a problem. Why do you think you made a joke of? Remember, I died for your sins.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, no one's gonna be able to like follow up on Optimus's example. I liked how in Armada, by the way, they did the whole Hot Shot takes over as leader of the Autobots, but they don't turn him into a Prime.
Yeah, I also like in IDW's Transformers, they actually do a joke where they have it be the death of Optimus Prime, and you think, oh boy, what's gonna happen? He lived. He just is now Orion Pax again.
Oh, that's clever.
Like, he gave up being a Prime. Now, he still looks like Optimus, but he says, I am no longer Optimus Prime. I am back to being Orion Pax.
Who becomes like the next Prime?
Oh, that's when they made, what's her name? That female Autobot that they created. Oh,
God.
Air, who's not a bad character overall. They just shelled her up the butt.
Wasn't she also in the Rooster Teeth animated thing? She's the one who turns into a plane, right?
Yes. Hold on. Transformers, not Air Raid. Hold on.
It's the girl Transformer. I know.
Yeah, she was the one that was created in response to there not being enough of them and everything.
Here's the thing, and this is one of the things that like EVS has even criticized the IDW Transformers. He says. One of the things that he railed against is when they start exploring the sexuality of the Transformers.
Yeah.
And then he goes, they're robots.
No, I'll be fair though. Simon Furman, as much as I love him, he didn't do himself any favors. The way he was trying to treat it, like they're, like he didn't phrase it right when he was talking about how it worked.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, they're robots that shoot each other.
I agree. No, I agree. Hold on. What is her name? Windblade.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, they made her a Prime in the comics?
No. She wasn't Prime. She just took over as a leader.
So they didn't have a Prime at that point.
No, they didn't have a new Prime.
Obviously, Optimus took back over, right, eventually.
Eventually, yes. But I gotta say, I would say Windblade is not a bad character overall.
No, she's not. But it's like it's one of the occasions where the company forces her into everything, and then they make the fan base not like her.
Exactly. By the way, can I tell you one of my favorite Transformers crossover minis? One that's like really original. Hold on, come on.
Are you talking about Transformers Marvel?
Nope, not talking about that. It's an IDW written one.
Okay, let's see.
Hold on. And I'll show you why I love it so much.
Okay.
What I love about this, though, is it's an alternate future where the Decepticons took out the Autobots right away. They invaded. And then turns out Skynet's working for the good guys because he was activated not during peacetime, but during wartime, when he should have been activated.
Oh, so it's like instead of turning on humans, the Terminators are anti-Transformer things.
Exactly. And so they send a Terminator back in time to stop the Autobots, and they just run into Sarah.
Oh, that is cool.
Yep. And I love this. Oh, how
the art on that is so good.
I know, and I love this when they're driving and everything. It's like she's just like, "Well, what's your designation?" Because he said it earlier. But yeah, it turns out they're there too late. I love it. Then I will engage secondary objective. Look at that smile. It's like,
I love how he's also in the Optimus Prime truck.
yeah, well, it gets scanned later, obviously. But here's the thing, though. He does not know about Autobots. He just knows about Cybertronians as Decepticons.
Oh, that's cool.
So he thinks he's gonna come and fight them. But look, he's like, but then the Decepticon and his flesh gets knocked out fast. But I also love how Sarah goes quickly. It doesn't take a whole movie. She is almost very quick into like, move it, all of you, like stop it, all of you. It's like she quickly gets into this whole the warrior woman, mindset. But yeah, I also like how the Decept and the Terminator is working with them to a point, and they think, okay, he knows the difference. He doesn't care, and he is secretly placing explosives everywhere. So eventually, when they leave and when they're during the final fight, he throws one explosive into one space, activates them all, blows up the Ark.
And all the Autobots, I take
that were on board. That includes Wheeljack and
Ratchet.
Ratchet. And you can see Windblade is there too, all blown up. And then at the very end, they win. And by doing that, they actually throw. Oh, this is also where they keep the IDW RC as a warrior, which I like.
By the way, I love all these character designs. Can I just say, I love in recent years that the G1 designs have been made cool.
Yeah, I know. But look at this. Optimus uses the axe, and then, you see Sarah going after one of the tapes from Ravage.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes him out. And then you have RC throwing the Terminator right into Megatron, taking him out. And you can barely... Oh, I love it. Like, this was supposed to be your death, Prime. Your death. Goodbye, Megatron. And goodbye, my friend. But if you look carefully, the Terminator's giving the thumbs up right there. But unfortunate, what happened at the end of the Terminator movie? Who picked up the remains? Cyberdyne.
Oh, yeah.
And they're making Decepticon Terminators.
Oh, God. That is so cool.
Based off of Megatron's corpse.
So could there be a sequel to this?
Unfortunately, no, because IDW doesn't own the rights anymore, remember?
Oh, damn it.
But for a self-contained thing, it's good. And get this, Sarah starts working at this place called Skywatch so she can keep an eye on her friends.
Okay, that works.
She doesn't have to worry about having John. None of that.
Yeah. So, by the way, so the other thing
look at what did I say? Starscream and the other remains Decepticons unite with the Autobots. It's like no longer are we Decepticons or Autobots. We're just Cybertronians.
Yeah, because it's like, there's
nothing left.
Yeah, it's like, what are we gonna do?
So yeah, even Starscream's like, you got a point.
Yeah.
So by the way, they actually make Starscream brutal here.
Yeah.
He actually sees a group of people driving. Look at this. And they have machines that look like us, but they're all operated by fleshy organics. Watch! And he just obliterates people.
Wow.
Okay, but anyway, you were about to say?
So the other thing is I love how Starscream is portrayed in the current comics because it's like I love when Megatron repairs Starscream just to beat the crap out of him and he goes, "Don't you dare betray me again." Like, that is so Megatron. I love that. He's like, "Oh, thank you, Megatron." Boost. I love Megatron in these comics. It's like when he shows up, Optimus is like, "Oh no, we're out."
Funny thing is, though, you do know in the original Marvel G1, Megatron was barely a thing.
Yeah, I know. I need to pick those up. Hey, what's up, Immortal Rising and RJ?
But yeah. I mean, there's so much good with Transformers. I mean, this is becoming another Transformers episode.
Might as well. And it's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to my comic book store next week to pick up my Supergirl New 52 Omnibus. I'm going to pick up it because they have the compendium of the original Transformers comics.
You should also look up the Regeneration 1 books.
What?
The Regeneration 1. That was them picking up where the original Marvel series left off and then seeing it through to the end.
I need to pick up the originals then. But it's because, yeah, I've always been... In fact, Transformers was like the very first like franchise that I really dove into. Before even Halo or like DC or Marvel or anything like that.
Same here. But yeah, for me, I've just always loved Transformers. Always. It's just...
Who's your favorite in general?
Optimus.
Mine too.
But yeah. Megatron, depending on the version.
I did like the live action Megatron where he's like very like intimidating.
To a point, but Hugo Weaving's voice was just, he was phoning it in.
I'll give you that. I honestly,
I actually prefer Starscream, of course, though.
I prefer the Prime Megatron.
Oh yeah,
I love that one where he is treated like a legit like threat.
Oh yeah,
the only version of the only show of Transformers that I really didn't like was animated, like the show Transformers animated. I felt that was a little too memey.
A little bit, and I did not like how they gave what's her name the girl
Kari.
Now, believe it or not, I fit her in myself with Sam and Spike. I have Sam and Spike both exist.
Really?
I have Sam be the younger brother of Spike.
Oh, that works.
I could still keep Michaela and Carly, and but I also be that they're actually related by marriage to Kari's father, who was the brother of whose wife was the sister of Sam and Spike's mom.
Oh, that's dope. I love that.
Like, I include them all together and everything, as a family. But I wrote to reveal that let me double check.
But so the other thing, my favorite Transformers show is definitely animated. That's when they went really mature with Transformers.
Yeah, but sorry, I revealed that Sorry actually was a human, but wasn't doing well. Dying as an infant. A protoform landed on Earth. Her father found it, and just something drove him to hold his daughter next to it, and they merged.
Oh, that's cool.
So I go with that idea of Sorry is a human, but a human hybrid Cybertronian, rather than being full Cybertronian.
That's cool. I like that. But anyway, so Transformers Armada. That's when I was like, because Optimus was a badass. And he's like, he shows up, stand down, Megatron. He's like, oh, God.
Okay, gotta be honest. I do not like Bay's Optimus.
Okay, why?
It feels too much like a hardcore. Except for the first one. I'm talking from the second onward. They made him too aggressive, too willing to kill willy-nilly.
Kill them all.
Exactly. Especially him, him shooting Sentinel and then Megatron, which that wasn't the original ending.
No, was it supposed to be there?
He let
Megatron goes, we need a truce. Come on, let's stop fighting. And then Optimus like, nope, I'm going to tear your head off.
No, it's like, I just want to be in charge. After all, what would you be without me? Let's find out.
I go, no.
That's betraying your word.
Wasn't the original ending they were supposed to finally end the war?
They go. He leaves. He just wants to be in charge of the Decepticons, so they leave. Because he's tired of fighting.
Yeah, I'm like, he goes, no, we need a truce. Yeah, that always struck me as kind of weird. We need a truce. And then Optimus is like, no, bro, I'm going to murder you.
Exactly. It's just like, why? Why, Bay? Why did you do that?
And the funny part is that you could tell from like 4 and on, Bay stopped caring because he left green screen in on certain shots, like on the TV screens. He left the Sears Tower in Hong Kong. So it was like, there's that. And then the last night where they retcon that the Autobots have always been here, but in the past, they also still have truck parts. And I go, what?
Why?
How does that work?
It doesn't. It
really doesn't, because that basically invalidated all of the movies previously.
Exactly. And then, of course, Earth is Unicron.
I never liked that because we're never. If that's the case, they would never have Earth transform into Unicron.
Exactly. I know. So, by the way, hold on. Here, I found the comic adaptation that has the original ending.
All right. Because I had the original comic, like the comics for the movie.
Yep, exactly. See right here, Megatron and Prime both team up to stop him, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they don't even show him killing off Sentinel at all.
Yeah, that would have worked so much better because it goes back into them being brothers.
Exactly, but nope, because Bay needed to make it look cool.
Yeah, I know.
And I would say though, Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast, obviously being a separate continuity.
Rise of the Beast, I think, is where they really started to like course correct and make everything good.
Well, because Bumblebee, I think, was at first, and then
Rise of the Beast. Yeah. I loved Rise of the Beast, bro. That was great.
Oh yeah. Yep,
I really like how they built up to them finally saying maximize. I go, oh yes.
Yep, maximize. But
although I would have liked if Rhinox actually spoke because he's the only Maximal that really doesn't speak.
By the way, did you know there actually was a Transformers book that had the Autobots back during the Industrial Revolution?
Oh really?
Yep, it's called Transformers Evolution, Heart of Steel. It was supposed to be like its own take of an Elseworld. But yeah, you actually have it be they use trains and everything.
Yeah, but my favorite Elseworlds is the Shattered Glass one where everyone's Oh, that's cool.
Yep, and look at this artwork.
That looks dope.
Basically, it's them during so they take train forms.
That actually works really well.
Now, unfortunately, the IDW version, as they were coming towards the end, decided to actually include this, but then Rick kind of saying, "Oh no, that's not Bumblebee. They just thought they were Bumblebee."
Okay.
It was their only way to try and incorporate it, but at the same time, not have it contradict what they've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like with the Shattered Glass. I love how it's so much of a mind F to see like Bumblebee be a sadistic. But Bumblebee is basically Shockwave in this continuity.
Yep.
And I go, oh, that's so scary.
And they treat Optimus like he's this badass, but he's really a coward.
Yeah, it's cool for like an Elseworlds thing. The other thing I didn't
that's been a long-standing thing. That's been a long-standing thing. You know that.
Yeah, the other thing I really didn't like about the fourth movie, in addition to a lot, I mean, the fifth movie, they wasted Nemesis Prime. That's what you're gonna do? And he's Nemesis for like 10 minutes? Are you kidding me?
I know, right?
I'm like, that movie deserved to bomb the way it did.
It did. And Age of Extinction, like I said, like, I'll be honest, I prefer the way Grimlock was handled in that horrible game, Rise of the Darkspark.
Oh, really?
Because there you actually see him transform properly.
Yeah, well, even then, isn't that a follow up to the Cybertron game?
It's actually, it combines it's a crossover, but not really. Basically, they revealed there's a dark spark that can transverse the multiverse, but that's it. It's set in between the two Cybertron games, but it also deals with, they had the dark spark, then they send it to the movie universe, and at the very end, it's sent to the G1 universe.
Okay, but I asked because Grimlock was great in the Cybertron games.
Oh, that's one of my favorite takes on Grimlock. Him actually being a competent for one.
Yeah, I love where they make you like essentially you're transforming into a fire breathing T-Rex is a charge up ability. I love that.
That's my favorite Shockwave in all the versions.
Yeah,
it's of course it's voiced by Steve Bloom. What do you expect?
Shockwave.
And that is hands down. Yeah, hands down my favorite because I like how he's just this twisted, sinister, mad scientist, and yet you can see him take charge of Starscream. He has no interest in taking charge. But he would be competent in charge.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I dug that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but yeah, I love those games. I love the other game, Devastation.
I haven't played Devastation.
Good luck finding it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was by Platinum Studios.
Yeah, exactly. So
it opens up. You're dealing with them trying to turn a city into a jet engine. So a Cybertron jet engine to try and make Earth a new Cybertron. And you actually have a face fight off against Devastator.
Dope. I love that.
And yes, big city size.
I love that. So we're gonna wrap up. And so, how would you rate Transformers 1 out of 10?
I give it nearly 10.
I give it a 9.9.
Yeah, it's nearly perfect.
It is so close to perfect. So close.
Yeah.
It's basically the Spider-Verse of Transformers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 100%. So, Robert, where can we find you, and what have you got coming out on your channel?
Links down below. I got a bunch of Pro Teaches Noobs in the work, and I'm hoping to get back to Game Stream. I know I keep saying that, but I will eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, at 9 o'clock, Britt and I will be going live for Super Wonder Legacy episode 100, where we'll be doing like a Super Wonder tier. Thank you. We'll be doing a Super Wonder tier list. We'll be talking about the show, talked about the future of the show, and just be answering your questions. We'll be having a lot. We'll be talking about our favorite episodes. We'll be hanging out with you guys. So stay heroic, everyone.
Wait, can we go about next week?
Oh yeah.
Is that my pick?
Next week is your pick. Yes, exactly.
Justice League Ruby.
All right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We're going to go do a Justice League Ruby Part 1 and 2. I just really like that movie, that two-parter.
Oh, and by the way, next UTC is going to be our favorite Superman origin stories, because obviously the movie's coming out. So
I'll be seeing it Friday. I'll be seeing it
on Thursday. So what we'll do is okay, so how?
I would say early Friday. Actually, early Friday. So
okay, so because what I was planning on doing is CLD's topic is Superman is the review of the movie.
Ooh, I can't see it Thursday. Unfortunately, I can't.
Okay. So you know what? So what we'll do is we'll do swap movie night. All right. Yeah.
No, not swap movie night. I'm saying swap COD or the topics. For CLD
we can still do super. Okay, so swap CLD. Oh yeah.
That way we can talk about our favorite origins, and then when I see the movie, we can talk about the movie.
Okay, so you mean instead of doing it on UTC on Thursday, we do the origins on Friday?
Yeah. No. I say we do the origins. Sorry, I keep mixing up which day is which.
All right, Thursdays is Under Two Capes.
Then that's the
Superman origin.
Okay, well, so that's fine. We're perfectly good then, because I'll be able to see it Friday.
Okay, so we'll do that, and then
sorry for the confusion. I keep forgetting which one is which.
And then Friday is Comically Dark, so you're gonna see it on Friday earlier, right?
Yep, early in the day, definitely early in the day.
Okay, so on Friday we can for CLD we'll review Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a spoiler review. I'll put spoiler in the title, so don't come to me, guys, and say you spoiled the movie. I warned you ahead of time.
Yep, but yeah, I will definitely be seeing it Friday in the afternoon.
Okay, dope. So we'll be doing it. I'm seeing it in the evening on Thursday, so we're all good. It lines up. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lame. She belongs to General Zod. I love it, bro. Zois and Max for life. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.